The declined card. The autumn rain drummed against the windows of Corner Cafe as Maya Chen fumbled through her worn wallet one more time, hoping to find a forgotten $20 bill tucked between old receipts. Her fingers trembled slightly as she counted the crumpled ones and fives again, knowing the total wouldn't change. "That'll be $34.50, the teenage barista said, her voice carrying that particular blend of impatience and sympathy that came from working retail. Behind Maya, the line of coffee-seeking customers grew longer. Right. Their conversations creating a low hum of urban day urgency. Maya's cheeks burned with embarrassment as she placed her debit card on the counter, silently praying her account had enough to cover Emma's birthday cake and the small bag of groceries she'd picked up. Tomorrow was her daughter's 7th birthday, and this modest chocolate cake from the cafe's bakery case was all she could manage this month. The card reader beeped once, twice, then displayed the dreaded message. Declined. Could you try it again? Maya asked quietly, though she knew it was pointless. Her nursing school tuition payment had gone through 3 days ago, leaving her account nearly empty until her next shift at the hospital's patient care unit. The barista swiped, again with practiced patience. Another beep, another decline. "I'm sorry, ma'am, but it's okay," Maya interrupted, her voice barely above a whisper. She began gathering her items. "I'll just take the cake. Let me see if I have exact change." She spread her remaining cash. On the counter, $27.38. The cake alone cost $29.95. Her stomach twisted with the familiar ache of having to choose between necessities, of calculating every purchase down to the penny. Actually, "Never mind," she said, starting to put the money away. "I'll come back later." The woman behind her shifted impatiently, checking her phone, while a man in a simple gray hoodie watched the scene unfold with quiet attention. Maya had noticed him earlier, sitting alone at a corner table with a laptop and a nearly empty coffee cup, the kind of person who seemed to blend into the background of everyday life. "Excuse me," he said gently, stepping forward. His voice was warm, but not intrusive. "I couldn't help but notice. Would you let me get this for you?" Maya looked up, startled. He was probably in his early 30s, with kind brown eyes and dark hair that looked like he'd run his fingers through it while working. Everything about him seemed deliberately unremarkable. The faded jeans, the well-worn sneakers, the simple hoodie that had seen many washes. "Oh no, I couldn't," Maya protested, heat rising in her cheeks. "That's very kind, but really, please," he said, already reaching for his wallet. "I have a niece about your daughter's age." 7, right? He nodded toward the small candle Maya had picked up with the cake. "Birthday cake is important." Something in his tone made her pause. There was no pity in his voice, no grand gesture or dramatic flourish, just simple human kindness, offered as naturally as breathing. How did you know she's 7? He smiled, the kind of smile that crinkled the corners of his eyes. "Lucky guess." The candle gave it away. Before Maya could protest further, he handed his card to the barista. "Everything she has, please." "Sir, that's really not necessary, Alex," he said, extending his hand. "And it is necessary, for me anyway. Sometimes we all need a little help." The transaction went through smoothly. Alex helped Maya gather her bags. She noticed his hands were calloused, despite his obvious education, the kind of hands that belonged to someone who built things, but worked with his hands as well as his mind. "Thank you," Maya said, still overwhelmed. "I'm Maya, and I really don't know how to know." "Need to thank me," Alex said, already stepping back toward his table. "Just tell your daughter happy birthday from a friend." He was gathering his laptop and papers before Maya could say anything else, moving with the quiet efficiency of someone accustomed to disappearing before gratitude became awkward. By the time she made it to the door, balancing her bags against the rain, he was gone, leaving behind only the lingering warmth of unexpected kindness and the faint scent of coffee and rain standing under the cafe's small awning. Maya watched the empty street and wondered if she'd ever see her mysterious benefactor again. Unexpected encounters 3 days after Emma's birthday party, a modest celebration in their small apartment with the chocolate cake that had sparked so much gratitude. Maya found herself thinking about Alex more often than she cared to admit. She'd replayed their brief encounter dozens of times, wondering about the man who'd appeared like some kind of guardian angel and vanished. Just as quickly, she was pushing her cart through the cramped aisles of Save Mart, comparing prices on pasta, sauce, and doing the mental math that had become second nature when she spotted him in the cereal aisle. Same gray hoodie, same unassuming presence, but this time he was studying nutrition labels with the focus of someone who actually cared about what he put in his body. Their eyes met across a display of discounted granola bars. "Maya," he said, his face lighting up with genuine surprise. "How's the birthday party?" "It was perfect," she replied, abandoning her cart to walk over. Emma loved the cake. She said it was the best chocolate cake in the history of chocolate cakes, which is apparently quite an accomplishment for a 7-year-old. Alex laughed, and Maya noticed how the sound seemed to ease something tight in her chest that she hadn't realized was there. High praise indeed. "I'm glad it worked out." "I still owe you. You don't owe me anything," he said firmly but kindly. "But if you're determined to even the score, you could help me figure out which of these cereals won't kill me with sugar before noon." Maya found herself smiling as she examined his options. "Definitely not that one," she said, pointing to a box covered in cartoon characters. "Unless you're planning to fuel a marathon? This one's better whole grains, reasonable sugar content, won't leave you crashing by 10 a.m. Nursing student?" he asked, adding the cereal to his basket. Yes, actually. Final year." "How did you know?" "You read labels like someone who understands what they mean, and you have that look." "What look?" "The look of someone who's seen too many people ignore their bodies until something goes wrong." Maya studied his face, noting the intelligence behind his casual demeanor. "What about you? What do you do when you're not rescuing strangers in coffee shops?" Alex hesitated for just a moment, his hand absently adjusting the strap of his worn messenger bag. "I work in tech. Software development, mostly. Help companies streamline their operations." "Sounds complicated. It can be. But it's really just problem solving, you know? Finding better ways to do things." He paused, seeming to choose his words carefully. "What made you choose nursing?" "My mom was sick when I was younger," Maya said, the words coming easier than they usually did. "The nurses at the hospital were the ones who made her feel human when everything else felt scary and clinical. I wanted to be that for someone else." Something shifted in Alex's expression of recognition, perhaps her understanding that went deeper than polite conversation. "That's beautiful," he said quietly. "The world needs more people like that." They walked through the store together, their conversation flowing with surprising ease. Alex listened when Maya mentioned the challenges of balancing school with single motherhood, nodding without judgment when she explained how she'd stretched $15 into a week's worth of meals. In return, he shared stories about his work that were vague on specifics, but revealed someone who genuinely cared about making things better, more efficient, more helpful for people. At the checkout, Maya tensed slightly, but her card went through, without incident. Alex waited for her, and they walked to the parking lot together. "My car's that blue Honda," Maya said, pointing to a 10-year-old Civic that had seen better decades. "The Subaru," Alex said, nodding toward a forest green Outback that looked well-maintained, but equally unremarkable. Maya said as they reached her car, "Thank you again, not just for the coffee shop, but for today. For treating me like a person, not a charity case." "Maya," he said, and there was something in the way he said her name that made her look up. "You're one of the strongest people I've met in a long time. Anyone who can see that as charity has their priorities completely backwards." He helped her load her groceries, his movements careful and considerate. As she backed out of her parking space, Maya saw him in her rearview mirror, standing by his car and watching her leave with an expression she couldn't quite read. Driving home through the early evening traffic, Maya found herself hoping their paths would cross again soon. There was something about Alex beyond his unexpected generosity that made her feel like herself again, like the person she'd been before life became a series of survival calculations. She had no way of knowing that across town, Alex was sitting in his modest apartment, staring at his laptop screen and thinking the exact same thing. Growing closer 2 weeks later, Maya was balancing textbooks and coffee while hurrying across the university library's main floor. When she nearly collided with someone coming around the corner, books scattered, and she found herself looking up into Alex's amused brown eyes. "We really have to stop meeting like this," he said, crouching to help gather her scattered study materials. "Though I have to say, your reaction time is improving." Alex, Maya couldn't hide her genuine pleasure at seeing him. "What are you doing here? Don't tell me you're taking night classes too." "Research," he said vaguely, holding up a stack of books about renewable energy and sustainable technology. "I like to stay current with industry trends. Plus, it's quiet." Here, Maya noticed the book's titles: Engineering Concepts, Environmental Science, Economic Theory. "Light reading. You should see what I consider heavy reading," Alex replied with a grin that made Maya's stomach flutter in a way she'd almost forgotten was possible. They found themselves walking to the same section, Maya heading for the nursing journals, Alex toward the technology periodicals. What started as a coincidental encounter became an impromptu study session at a quiet table by the windows. Maya spread out her pathophysiology notes while Alex opened his laptop, working on what appeared to be complex spreadsheets and technical diagrams. Despite their different focuses, they fell into a comfortable rhythm, the kind of parallel productivity that felt natural and unforced. "Question," Maya said during a break, looking up from her notes about cardiac medications. "What exactly do you mean when you say you help companies streamline operations? Because every time I ask, you get this look like you're trying to figure out how much to tell me." Alex paused, his fingers hovering over his keyboard. "It's not that I don't want to tell you," he said carefully. "It's just that most people's eyes glaze over when I start talking about system architecture and process optimization." "Oh, try me." "Okay." Alex turned his laptop screen toward her, showing a complex flowchart. "See this? This is how a mid-sized company currently handles their supply chain, 17 different steps. Multiple redundancies, lots of room for error and waste. And this," he clicked to another screen, "is how they could do it with better software integration. Same result, half the time, 60% less waste." Maya studied the diagrams with genuine interest. "So you make things more efficient." "Exactly. Though sometimes that means helping companies transition to cleaner energy sources, or finding ways to reduce their environmental impact while maintaining profitability." "That sounds like important work. I like to think so." Alex closed the laptop. "What about you? Are you planning to specialize once you graduate?" "Pediatric oncology," Maya said without hesitation. "I want to work with kids who are fighting cancer." Alex went very still. "That's incredibly brave." "Not brave. Necessary. Kids shouldn't have to face something like that without someone in their corner who understands that they're still kids." "Not just patients? Is that why you chose nursing? Not just because of your mom?" Maya hesitated, then decided on honesty. "Emma's father left when she was 2, said he couldn't handle the responsibility. I realized then that I wanted to be the kind of person who stays when things get difficult, who shows up when it matters most." "He was an idiot," Alex said quietly, and there was something in his voice that made Maya look up sharply. "You don't even know him." "I don't need to. Anyone who would walk away from you and Emma is either an idiot or a coward, possibly both." The intensity in his voice surprised her. They'd been building a friendship over these chance encounters, but this felt like something deeper, more personal. "Alex," Maya said softly, "can I ask you something?" "Always." "Why do you keep showing up?" "I mean, I'm grateful for all of this, the conversations. It's helped the way you make everything feel a little less overwhelming. But I can't figure out what you're getting out of it." Alex was quiet for a long moment, looking out the library windows. At the campus beyond, when he spoke, his voice was thoughtful and careful. "Do you know what it's like to go through your days feeling like you're performing a role instead of living your life? Like everyone you meet wants something from you, or has already decided who you are before you've said a word." Maya shook her head, though something in his tone made her think she was missing something important. "You see me, Alex?" continued. "Not what I can do for you. Not what you think I should be. Just me. Do you have any idea how rare that is?" "I think you're giving me too much credit," don't think I'm giving you nearly enough." They sat in comfortable silence, the weight of unspoken things settling between them. Maya found herself studying Alex's profile, the way he seemed to carry himself with quiet confidence, the intelligence that sparked behind his eyes when he talked about his work, the gentleness in his hands when he'd helped her with her books. Emma's school is having a fall festival next weekend, Maya said impulsively. Face painting, apple cider, terrible elementary school performances of classic songs. Would you want to come? I mean, if you're not busy with work, or I'd love to, Alex said immediately. Should I pick you up or meet you there? Meet us there would be perfect. Emma's been asking about the nice man from the coffee shop anyway. I think she's decided you're some kind of superhero. Smart kid, Alex said with a grin. I'll try not to disappoint her. As they packed up their things, Maya felt something shifting between them, a door opening to possibilities she hadn't allowed herself to consider in a very long time. Whatever Alex's story was, whatever he wasn't telling her about his work, she found herself wanting to know all of it. She had no idea just how much there was to discover. The revelation, the fall festival, had been perfect. Maya watched from across the school gymnasium as Alex helped Emma and 3 other children paint a cardboard castle. His patient instructions and encouraging smile making him an instant favorite. Among the 7-year-old set, he'd arrived with a bag of art supplies that looked suspiciously expensive. Though he'd brushed off her questions with his usual deflection about having some extra materials from a project. Now, 2 days later, Maya sat in the university library during her break between clinical rotations, trying to focus on her pharmacology notes but finding her thoughts drifting to the way Alex had looked at her when they'd said goodbye. He wanted to say something important, but couldn't quite find the words. She reached for her coffee and accidentally knocked over a magazine someone had left on the adjacent chair. As she picked it up, her heart stopped. The cover of Tech Industry Weekly featured a professional headshot of Alex, but not the Alex she knew. This Alex wore an expensive suit, his hair professionally styled, standing in front of a gleaming office building with Chen Dynamics emblazoned across the glass facade. The headline read, "The Billionaire Next Door: How Alexander Chen Built a Clean Energy Empire." While staying out of the spotlight, Maya's hands trembled as she opened to the cover story. The article painted a picture of a tech prodigy who'd started coding at age 12, dropped out of MIT after 2 years to launch his first startup, and had since built a renewable energy conglomerate worth over $3 billion. There were photos of him at charity galas she'd never seen, quotes about his unprecedented approach to sustainable technology, supportive mentions of his notoriously private lifestyle, and refusal to engage with traditional media. Alexander Chen, 32, is perhaps the only billionaire who still does his own grocery shopping, the article noted. Friends describe him as someone who values authenticity above all else, often going to great lengths to connect with people outside his industry circles. Maya stared at the magazine until the words blurred. The man who'd paid for Emma's birthday cake wasn't just successful, he was one of the wealthiest people in the country. The casual clothes, the modest car, the careful way he talked about his work, it had all been a performance. She thought about their conversations, reframing every moment through this new lens. His vague answers about helping companies suddenly made sense. The expensive art supplies at the festival. The way he'd never seemed worried about money, never calculated prices the way she did. The books about renewable energy weren't research, they were his industry. Her phone buzzed with a text from Alex. Emma left her painting in my car. Can I drop it by later? Maya stared at the message, anger and hurt warring in her chest. How long had he planned to keep lying to her? Was their entire friendship built on his amusement at playing regular guy with the struggling single mother? She typed back, "We need to talk. Coffee shop on 5th Street, 7 p.m. His response came immediately. Is everything okay? Maya didn't reply. Alex arrived at the coffee shop 20 minutes early, his usual calm demeanor replaced by obvious anxiety. Maya was already there, sitting at a corner table with the magazine spread open in front of her. When he saw it, his face went pale. Maya, don't, she said quietly, not looking up. Just sit down. He slid into the chair across from her, his hands clasped tightly on the table. How long have you known? About 3 hours. Maya finally met his eyes, and Alex flinched at what he saw there. Alexander Chen, founder and CEO of Chen Dynamics, net worth approximately $3.2 billion. Known for his commitment to sustainable technology and his private lifestyle. Maya, please let me explain. Explain what? Her voice was controlled, but Alex could hear the hurt underneath. Explain how you've been lying to me for weeks. Explain how you've been playing some kind of game, pretending to be a regular person while I worried about whether my card would be declined. It wasn't a game, Alex said urgently. It was never a game. Then what was it? Some kind of social experiment? Rich guy sees how the other half lives? Maya, stop. Alex's voice was sharper than she'd ever heard it. You know me. You know who I am, do I? Maya gestured to the magazine. Because according to this, you own homes in 3 countries. You've donated over $50 million to various causes, and you haven't given a media interview in 5 years. That doesn't sound like the guy who shops at Save Mart and studies. In the library, I do shop at Save Mart. I do study in the library. That's exactly who I am. You're a billionaire, Alex. You could buy that entire store without thinking about it. Yes, Alex said simply. I could. But that doesn't change anything about who I am or how I feel about you. Maya laughed, but there was no humor in it. How? You feel about me, Alex? You don't even know me? You know Maya the nursing student? Maya the struggling single mom? You don't know what it's like to count every dollar? To choose between groceries and gas? To lie awake wondering how you're going? To make rent? You're right, Alex said quietly. I don't know those things. But I know that you're the strongest person I've ever met. I know that you make Emma laugh even when you're exhausted. I know that you chose a career that requires you to hold other people's pain because you believe everyone deserves compassion. I know that you see the best in people, even when they don't deserve it. But you lied to me. I omitted things. There's a difference, is there? Maya's voice cracked slightly. I told you about Emma's father leaving. I told you about my mom being sick. Told you things I don't tell anyone, and the whole time you were keeping this massive secret. Alex leaned forward, his eyes intense. Do you want to know why I didn't tell you? Because of this? Because of the way you're looking at me right now, like I'm a stranger. Because every single time people find out about the money, everything changes. They see dollar signs instead of a person. They want something from me, or they assume I want something from them. So you decided to lie instead. I decided to let you know me first. It's the real me, not the magazine version. Maya was quiet for a long moment, staring at the magazine photo. In it, Alex looked polished and distant. Nothing like the man who'd sat on the floor helping children paint cardboard castles. What were you planning to do? She asked finally. Keep pretending forever. I was planning to tell you, Alex said. I just wanted to find the right time, the right way. I wanted you to understand that the money doesn't define me. But it does define you, Alex. It defines everything about your life, your choices, your freedom. You get to play at being normal because you know you can go back to being extraordinary whenever you want. Alex sat back as if she'd slapped him. Is that really what you think? That this is all just playing to me? Maya looked at him, really looked at him, and saw genuine pain in his eyes. But the hurt was still too fresh, the sense of betrayal too sharp. I don't know what to think anymore, she said, standing up. I need time to process this. Maya, please, I'll have Emma's painting ready for pickup tomorrow, she said, not turning around. You can leave it with the building manager. As she walked away, Alex remained seated, staring at the magazine that had destroyed the most real relationship he'd had in years. Outside, Maya sat in her car for 20 minutes, crying for reasons she couldn't fully name, before finally driving home to explain to Emma why their new friend wouldn't be coming around anymore. True wealth, Maya avoided the library, the coffee shop, and Save Mart for 2 weeks. She threw herself into her final semester coursework and picked up extra shifts at the hospital, telling herself she was too busy to think about Alex, but Emma's questions about when their art friend was coming back made forgetting impossible. On a gray Thursday morning, Maya found a package outside her apartment door. Inside was Emma's painting from the festival, carefully matted and framed in museum quality. Materials. The note was simple. For Emma's room. She's an incredible artist. Tucked behind the note was a check made out to the children's cancer ward at St. Mary's Hospital where
How Maya would start her residency for $50,000.
at the bottom, Alex had written, in honor of Maya Chen, who taught me what real wealth looks like. Maya stared at the check for a long time, then picked up her phone. "We need to talk," she texted. "Your place or mine?" Came the immediate reply. "The park on Elm Street, 1 hour." Alex was already there when she arrived, sitting on the same bench where she'd first brought Emma to feed the ducks. He looked tired. Older somehow, as if the past 2 weeks had cost him something. The donation was too much, Maya said, sitting down beside him, but leaving space between them. "It wasn't a donation. It was an investment in something I believe in." "Alex, I've been thinking about what you said," he interrupted, "about the money defining me. You're right, in a way. It does define my life, but not the way you think." Waited, studying his profile against the autumn sky. "I was 16 when my first company sold for $8 million, Alex continued. "Overnight, everyone I knew started treating me differently. Friends wanted loans. Teachers expected me to fund school programs. Girls who'd never noticed me suddenly found me fascinating. By the time I was 25, I realized I hadn't had a genuine conversation in years. So you started pretending to be someone else. I started trying to find out who I actually was underneath all the noise." Alex turned to face her. "That day at the coffee shop, I wasn't performing some elaborate social experiment. I saw someone who needed help, and I helped. That's it. Everything that happened after getting to know you, falling for you that was real. Falling for me?" Maya's voice was barely a whisper. "Completely and entirely. Which is why I was terrified to tell you the truth, because I knew exactly what would happen." "What did you think would happen?" "This, you'd see the money instead of me. You'd assume I was slumming it, or playing games, or that I couldn't possibly understand your life enough to be part of it." Maya was quiet for a moment, watching a family of ducks glide across the pond. "You're right about one thing. I can't understand your life. Can't imagine having that kind of wealth, that kind of freedom. I can't understand yours," Alex said. "I can't imagine choosing to struggle when you don't have to, or staying up all night worried about money. But Maya, that's not what matters. What matters is that you make me want to be better. What matters is that Emma lights up when she sees me, not because of what I can give her, but because I listen when she talks about her drawings. What matters is that, for the first time in my adult life, I wake up excited about my day because I might run into someone who makes me laugh." Maya felt tears threatening. "Alex, we're from completely different worlds." "No, we're not. We're from the same world, the one where people try to take care of each other. It's the one where children need birthday cakes and adults need someone too. See them for who they really are." Alex shifted closer. "Maya, I don't want to buy you things or solve your problems with money. I want to be the person you call when Emma learns to ride a bike. I want to study with you in the library and help you celebrate when you pass your boards. I want to build something real with you. What about when people find out, when the media attention comes, and we'll handle it together? But Maya, I've been hiding who I am for so long that I forgot what it felt like to be seen. You saw me, the real me, before you knew about any of this. That's not something I'm willing to give up." Maya looked at him, really looked at him, and saw not the billionaire from the magazine cover, but the man who'd insisted on helping with Emma's birthday cake, who'd spent 3 hours painting castles with children, who'd listened to her dreams without judgment. "Emma asked me yesterday if you were coming to her school's winter concert," she said finally. "What did you tell her?" "I told her I didn't know." Maya smiled, the first real smile she'd felt in weeks. "But I think you should probably mark your calendar." Alex's face transformed with relief and joy. "Maya Chen, are you giving me a second chance?" "I'm giving us a first chance," she corrected. "The real us, with no secrets and no pretending." "I love the sound of that," Alex said. And when he kissed her under the gray autumn sky, Maya thought that maybe true wealth wasn't about what you could afford to buy, but about what you were brave enough to build. 3 blocks away, a photographer with a telephoto lens lowered his camera and smiled. The billionaire had finally found his happy ending. And it looked exactly like what everyone else was searching for. Simple, genuine, and absolutely priceless.